We should have a hell of a series coming up. Well, actually, just about starting now. Going to be solo casting today, of course. I'm Zyori from ZyoriTV, as you can see as our only graphical overlay here, sort of a makeshift production, if you will. But here in good spirits, nonetheless, ready to rock and roll. I just want to point out it is 8 o'clock a.m. where I'm located in the world right now. I know most of you tuning in. It is prime time, 8 o'clock p.m. to enjoy some fine Heroes of North action on a Friday evening. So you have to bear with me here as I continue to wake up and enjoy some fine caffeinated beverages as we get into some Heroes of North casting tonight. So of course, this is week 10 of the Grand Poobah. Obviously a little bit new to the Garena casting and all that good stuff, so I'm excited to be here, excited to bring you guys some pretty cool matches, and hopefully you enjoy them yourselves. From my understanding, though, it is going to be a best-of-3 series between these two teams, so we have at least 2 games coming at you here to get things kicked off, starting just maybe a couple minutes late or so, but we're here ready to rock and roll. And there's the global from Mishki's. Oh, that's so sweet. Game 1 with hashtag Zyori. I don't think anyone's ever hashtagged my name before. That's so fantastic. So anyhow, as you can see here, not lockpicking mode, which I have to admit I'm a little bit disappointed about. I was really hoping that we were going to get to see some lockpicking. I did some lockpicking scrim casting on the international client yesterday, and finally getting my bearings, or at least getting my feet wet into the world of lockpicking. So I guess maybe this is starting to feel like a blast from the past, but nonetheless, looking forward to it. So TT Esports, of course, we all know pretty well. They were second place in DreamHack Summer, which just completed a couple weeks ago. I actually got to meet all those guys not that long ago, so the friendly faces of TT Esports are fresh in my mind. Unfortunately, Impunity was not at the event, although I have covered Impunity once or twice on the international client. I think they've played in a couple of the It's Gosu tournaments, maybe a couple of the Honor tournaments. They've been around. I've definitely seen them a time or two. But I will admit, it's been some while. It's been at least a couple of months anyhow since I've seen what Impunity can bring to the table. So I'm certainly looking forward to it. Of course, we are on the Garena server. I just set up, got my account set up here, so the interface slightly different, I guess I should say. So it's been taking me a little while to find the things that are, I suppose, normally fairly easy for me to find on the international client. So anyhow, I guess we can actually kind of get into the game here. Like I said, I will be solo casting this morning or this evening. So hopefully you enjoy. You have to bear with it. Sometimes solo casting can be, you know how solo casting can be. Oh. So anyhow, let's start taking a look at the bans here. We do have TT Esports with the first ban. So Mr. Slicks, the masterful drafter that he is, going to start things off with a ban on Polywog Priest. Imp's Air going to follow that up with a ban on Tundra, and then Glacius, Pebbles, Bubbles, Cthulhuphant, Demented, Shaman, and Ophelia. So all these bans looking relatively straightforward, though the one that does jump out at me a little bit is actually the ban on Bubbles. And I can give us a little bit of insider information about TT Esports, and the way they ban is actually pretty interesting. You know, some teams make it kind of a team effort, and the person that sits in that blue or pink seat is just sort of the guy that gets to click the buttons after a team decision. TT Esports does the exact opposite. Slicks is truthfully the masterful drafter, and he does about 95% of it himself. Occasionally he'll ask for advice from the team, but they actually spend most of the drafting phase in silence and just kind of let Slicks do his thing. Of course, he is a very gut player and just sort of does a lot of that decision making on the fly. What's he feeling? What's the read he's getting from the other team? So I'm a little bit intrigued to see Bubbles banned. Of course, he's a very strong hero. Has been performing pretty well in the suicide lane, though, at DreamHack. I don't think we saw too much tremendous Bubbles play, to be perfectly honest. So it's a little bit interesting to see him banned here instead of picked. He's one of those heroes, kind of like Glacius, that tends to get banned very infrequently, but picked very, very frequently. Other than that, not a hell of a lot jumping out at me. A lot of great junglers still on the board. Of course, Tempest and Parasite, the two that jump out at me the most. Not surprised at all to see Polywog Priest banned. Well, seeing Glacius banned, I guess that analogy doesn't fly so well here. But generally speaking, Glacius is a very picked hero, but really not banned all that much. Pebbles, Cthulhuphant. I haven't been seeing bans on Cthulhuphant, at least not on the international client, nearly as much as we had in the past, but still a very powerful hero, of course. Not surprised to see him banned whatsoever. First picks are underway, though. No surprise to see TT Esports starting things off with a pick on Aluna. She is the talk of the town, the creme de la creme, the hero that everyone is aiming for these days. She is just such an absurdly powerful support. Her global presence, thanks to that emerald red power throw, as well as the huge stuns that she can put out, and also her escape mechanism with that deja vu. It's incredible. She is just an all-around incredible hero, great at supporting. If she gets a little bit of farm, she can sort of transition into that semi-carry, and also just the amount of burst damage she can put out is absolutely insane. So no surprise there. We've saw her quite a bit at DreamHack as well. Interestingly enough, Imp gonna start things off with Torturer Behemoth. Not a bad start. We'll see how they round off this roster here, of course. Starting very magic damage intensive. The nice thing about this draft is they can really transition anywhere from here. They could pick up a nice pushing strategy, as they may be indicating by right-clicking good old Keeper of the Forest here. Valkyrie Keeper certainly would be a nice addendum to their lineup. And we shall see, as they're just about to run out of extra time here. So we'll see what they grab. Tempest. I'm going to last second switch it up to Tempest here over Keeper of the Forest. So as I was saying, Tempest was one of those scary junglers left on the board, no surprise whatsoever. And already you can see this team forming with a lot of synergy. Of course, the Tempest ultimate with all that AoE damage Torture can put out, the Behemoth ultimate, and even Valkyrie can do a pretty solid amount of AoE damage with that Call of the Valkyrie, and then shooting those toothbrushes in. Very solid team roster thus far. Legion team, though, nothing to scoff at either. In addition to that Aluna, they did add Electrician and Wretched Hag, and of course, Forsaken Archer and Magmus, sort of the considerations here to follow things up. I would love to see a Hammerstorm pickup. We saw at least, I hate to keep referencing DreamHack, but it's like the last big event that I casted, so in my mind I'm like, yeah, the metagame is pretty similar to DreamHack, I hope, because I know over here on the Garena client, there's a slightly different metagame. There are heroes that are a little bit more popular that we don't see on the international client, so I'm trying to steer away from making too many bold claims about the metagame and stuff like that, because you guys do it a little bit differently than we do. And which is totally a good thing, by the way. I love to see different heroes being used, love to see experimentation with some of that stuff. I mean, this is a fairly standard game, but we've definitely seen some of the SEA teams that pop into the big international tournaments bring some different heroes and skills to the table, so always exciting to see that stuff. So looking at this Legion roster, though, as they are complete, it was Forsaken Archer Hammerstorm to finish things off, so a very, very well-rounded team, plenty of disable, and it looks like they're going to have pretty solid lanes as well. What I'm really going to be curious about is what are they going to do with this Hammerstorm, and by looking at what they have, I'm thinking it's going to be a tri-lane. Solo Electrician, solo Wretched Hag, and then, of course, the triple stun, Hammerstorm, Aluna, Forsaken Archer, Hero Killer tri-lane, which I think is going to work very, very nicely. And I would imagine Impunity has picked up on that already, and they're going to be looking to react. Now, what's interesting about this play from TT Esports is they sort of committed to the tri-lane on those last two picks, and the last thing they had to look at before that, they were like, well, okay, we have a Tempest and Valkyrie to deal with. Knowing that there's a Tempest, this tri-lane is going to open up a really interesting disparity in the lanes that TT Esports is going to be looking to pick up on here, and it could go very, very nicely for them. It'd be interesting to see how Impunity reacts, I think, as well, if they end up trying to engage in a kind of a makeshift tri-lane of their own, or if they just totally sacrifice the lane and say, hey, Forsaken Archer, you know what? You are going to free farm anyway. Let's go ahead and let you do that. So you have to bear with me here as I remember the hotkeys to get all this. How do you make those little things? No, that's not what I wanted to do. What is it? F5? Ah, there we go. Right click. I knew there was a hotkey for it. There we go. As you can see, my first time casting on the Garena client, on the Garena client. So still have to get all those cute little settings set up for us. And actually, you know what? Let me turn off. I should have done this morning. I do profoundly apologize. Hero health bar shadows, no. And hero selection outlines, no. Okay. That's better. Let's see, what does Hag look like now? Oh my, she looks so much better without that hero outline. There we go, looking fresh, looking sharp. So let's see how these lanes unfold as we were talking about. Looks like it is going to be a tri-lane to start things off. We're going to have Slits on Forsaken Archer with Talaba on Aluna and Riser on Hammerstorm, all headed to the top. Of course, Slit's going to be the primary recipient of said farm. Interesting they're putting this tri-lane in the top lane, which makes me think they're going for a little bit more of a hero killer style, trying to catch Impunity off guard, because you normally expect a tri-lane to take place in the close lane. Pretty much, pretty much all the time. It looks like that is their courier that they're scouting with here. That's the Legion courier there. So just scouting ahead, trying to figure out if anyone's going to ward this, or try to prevent the pull from being warded, pardon me, where they can set up an early bloodlust. We'll see what Impunity does here as far as their lanes are concerned. Looks like we are going to have Lady Melissa on that Torture headed towards the mid, and some lane shuffling going on already. Ken on this Armadon headed towards top. Of course, Tempest, who is got an interesting name. I'm not even going to try and butcher it. Brown Tempest here, going to end up in the Legion jungle, it's looking like. Behemoth kind of tapering around as well. And a Valkyrie down here in the bottom lane being played by Air. So I would imagine we're going to see kind of a suicide Valkyrie down here in the bottom. Behemoth may end up in the bottom lane a fair bit, but it would seem that he's going to be playing a pretty active roaming role. Time will tell, though, how everything settles down once this game gets going. So just by looking at this initial setup, I think Impunity is going to be struggling a little bit in the laning phase. You know, TT Esports did such a great job of drafting an absolutely solid roster all around. They have great team fight potential, but they also have a really good laning phase. So in the mid lane, it is going to be Torturer versus Electrician. Neither side, I don't think either side should really come out too far ahead, all things equal, but both sides should be able to farm reasonably well in this mid lane, and sort of the success is going to vary based on runes as well as roaming from allies. We see Aluna and Hammerstorm already roaming around very aggressively, looking like they're going to put some pressure onto Torturer. Torturer, you could be in a little bit of trouble, buddy. Lady Melissa needs to be very careful. See his positioning spot on, playing back just a little bit, but still needs to be very careful. TT Esports continuing to scout with the courier here and blocking some of these spawns, making Tempest's life that much more difficult. Tempest actually going to end up moving down to the Legion jungle here just to be able to pick up a little bit of farm, so a great response from TT Esports to start things off. Speaking of strong lanes, Wretched Hag going to be down here in the close lane, going up against the Behemoth Valkyrie duo, at least for now. And certainly, same case, different chapter. I think WTF is going to have a fine time down here. Should be able to avoid death relatively easily, though it does need to be careful. A good 3-second Valkyrie arrow could end up being his doom early on. So, and you know, we talked about how is this Hellborn side going to respond to this tri-lane that's being executed by TT Esports up here in the top lane. And they're just going to say, all right, well, we're going to throw our tankiest hero up here. And speaking of tanky, it looks like he might not be tanky enough. He's going to go down. TT Esports Slick's going to be the one to pick up the Bloodlust gold. So already Slick's off to a hell of a start. Going to get that nice gold pick-me-up, pushing him way over that 400 GPM mark, which is absolutely fantastic. So now this puts Impunity between a rock and a hard place. They really need to respond to this Forsaken Archer. It's very, very rare, at least in my experience casting TT Esports, that Slicks gets a start like we're seeing here and lets go of it. He doesn't take that momentum to carry him on to being a driving force throughout the entire rest of the match. I think they would be wise to try and settle this down right now. Set up some ganks on Slicks, try to slow him down, and try to mitigate some of that huge farm that he's just picked up. Now he's got an open lane as well. Following that kill, he just got a minute of free farm. His Armadon slowly waddled his way back to the lane with no boost. It's sort of a win-win for TT Esports right now. I love what they're doing with this tri-lane. Hammerstorm and Aluna just roaming around, not staying in lanes, soaking up the experience from Slicks, but trying to stay active, setting up ganks and supporting him wherever possible, but also moving around the map, looking for other opportunities. Also hunting for the ever-sneaky Tempest, who has been effectively shut down here in the Hellborn jungle. What is good about this for Tempest, though, is it does open a window of opportunity to put some pressure on mid lane. As we see here, he's in a pretty good position to come up from behind and try and do something to Leon Black. They probably do have enough damage to try and make it happen, though. Of course, it's all about positioning, and Leon Black playing very, very wisely right now, staying very close to the tower indeed. Keeping a mindful eye up in this top lane, though, there's a looking for Ken to overstep his bounds a little bit so that they can capitalize. Hammerstorm with level 2 Galvanized, not surprised to see that whatsoever. Riser playing a very mean support Hammerstorm at the moment. Slick's going to go straight in, though. He's going to connect with a volley. Looks like Riser wasn't quite ready for the hammer throw follow-up, so unfortunately for TT Esports at least, Ken is going to be able to survive with quite a bit of hit points to spare, though he is dangerously low on regen. Sitting with only a mana battery right now, this is going to be difficult. Looks like they may dive this tower. There's the power throw, take out a tree. The hammer throw is going to connect. The volley going to connect shortly after as well. The stun from Luna, and it looks like Ken may go down. There he is. The last attack from Slick's going to take him down, and Slick's going to be the one to pick up the second kill of the game, now sitting 2-0-0. only about 4 minutes in. Looks like action in the mid lane starting to heat up as well. 2 heroes now hiding nearby in the jungle. We've got Behemoth and Tempest ready to make it rain over Leon Black's Electrician. And uh-oh, that could be his fatal misstep. Is going to move just a little bit too close to the hill. A beautiful block from Behemoth. The combo is going to be enough, and down he goes. Lady Melissa going to be the one to pick up that kill. All the while on the bottom lane, Wretched Hag and Valkyrie going toe-to-toe. Looks like Valkyrie is going to be the one to come off. It's still a pretty even exchange, actually. She does connect with a very short arrow, and both sides going to have to head back towards friendly territory. WTF could find himself in a little bit of a sticky wicket here, though. We do see both Behemoth and Tempest on their way, and he is at a dangerously low hit point percentage here, sitting with only 2 tangos left in the bank. One good Behemoth Fissure, and he's going to be in big trouble. There's the Behemoth Fissure. He does have plenty of mana to blink. Not going to be able to, or pardon me, Valkyrie not going to connect with that last auto attack. The arrow, a shot in the dark, unfortunately not going to connect with WTF here. He's going to run a bottle up, and he is going to be able to get back up to a decent amount of hit points. All 3 heroes still in this bottom lane, though, trying to put as much pressure on WTF as possible. Although, so far, reasonably unsuccessfully. Looks like they are going to engage onto air. Oh my gosh, WTF with a bit of a small play. Going to blink in, but I believe that Sonar Scream didn't connect. Just a little bit too short and didn't do the math on that one. So a beautiful setup from Riser. Unfortunately, the follow-up from WTF was just a little bit short. We do see a roam here from Aluna coming up the river. Needs to be very, very careful here. Aluna could find herself in a sticky situation, though it looks like she is going to be just fine. The Hellborn side is going to be forced back. All the while in the top lane, Armadon continuing to take a lot of flack from Mr. Slicks on that Forsaken Archer, taking quite a bit of damage himself. But of course, that Mana Battery doing some serious work against Mr. Armadon. Taking a look at creep farms, as we would expect, Slicks in great shape, sitting 32 and 10, pardon me. And of course, leading the way, Torture actually the second highest in the game, sitting 29 and 10, so he's been having a damn good time in this mid lane, and actually shutting down Leon Black very effectively. Just looking at the GPM difference here, Leon Black only hovering around 150, whereas Torture is up around that 300 GPM mark. So Torture already out farming him, but that gank onto Leon Black that we saw a few moments ago, sort of the icing on the cake, securing a mid lane victory here for Lady Melissa, who is now in a really good position. Glancing at this GPM chart, though, of course, a couple of red flags do come up, and pardon me, so we missed a kill up in the top lane. Slick's able to finish off Ken. And was that an ultimate that just went down? It looks like indeed it was, so well played by Slicks right there to finish off that kill. But anyhow, you know, seeing this GPM chart makes me very nervous, and we've seen situations like this in the past where teams certainly can win games, but all of their eggs are in the Slicks basket right now. Slicks is leading farm in this game by a huge margin, and pretty much everyone else on his team is dragging behind. Slicks is going to have to do the definition of carry this game on his agility carry hero here, that is Forsaken Archer. This is going to be really a good example of a true agility carry, and why that title is so appropriate, because it is going to be Slicks. He's just going to have so much farm. He's going to be the unstoppable force on their team, while everyone else is just desperately trying to survive and trying to keep him alive during these huge team fights. And that unfortunately does slow down the pace of the game a little bit. We're going to see TT Esports either wait until both of their bottom and mid lanes can kind of make a recovery as far as hero farm is concerned, or until Slicks is just ridiculous, until he hits that point of no return and kind of becomes that immovable object. We are going to see Slicks in some trouble up here in the top lane. Going to try and turn it around onto Armadon. How does he do it with a sliver of life to spare? Does manage to make it a 1-for-1 exchange. Absolutely well done. All the while in the mid lane, we did miss Electrician picking up a kill onto Torture, so well done by Leon Black as well. Down in the bottom lane, action all over the place. WTF putting some pressure onto this Valkyrie, but unfortunately taking a little bit more than he bargained for in return, and going to have to head back to the well. All things considered, though, TT Esports coming out way ahead in those exchanges. Ultimately a 2-for-1, but wow. Big click, big plays from Slicks coming out as always. Always exciting to see a player like that. Oh my, get off. It's just incredible, absolutely incredible. It's you know, when I got to talk to Slicks about it at DreamHack, asking him about how do you do plays like that. You know, if you just watch one game, more likely than not, you're going to see Slicks do a play like that where it's so close, where he survives with just 10 hit points, just a third of a second longer, and his plan wouldn't have worked. It's like, Slicks, how do you always do that? Just cut it so close. And he just sort of shrugs and goes, I don't know, you just kind of do it. It's absolutely incredible. He's one of those guys that just, he feels the math. I don't know. I'll stop sounding like a Slicks fanboy now, but that was definitely a huge play up in the top lane. Obviously, a little bit of lane shuffling going on. We do see Slicks headed to the mid lane. Hammerstorm nearby for that support, so I guess Leon Black struggling a bit against Torture. Does want to switch it up to prevent this Torture from getting a bit out of control, of course, picking up that solo kill that we missed, helping out quite a bit. So now Lady Melissa on that Torture, sitting 1-1-0, so hovering just below that 300 GPM mark. You've seen Invisible Behemoth. Will he be able to keep Lady Melissa alive? I don't know if that fissure was enough. Oh no, Torture going to walk right into the piercing arrows, and now Tempest and Valkyrie going to walk in as well. A beautiful volley going to connect with two heroes. Is it going to be enough damage to finish off Torture? The power throw wasn't quite enough to do it. Nice stun going to come out on the Valkyrie. There's the grip from Electrician. Tempest going to come in looking for that ultimate. Tempest going to get the ultimate off. Luna going to be caught out though. And going to be able to throw a couple of auto attacks. Tempest going to survive with just about 15 hit points to spare. A 1-for-1 exchange as all these heroes are dangerously low when this engage is just about to wrap up. 3 heroes on TT Esports with a little bit of mana to spare, trying to come in and finish these guys off. Unfortunately, not going to be able to connect with any of those skill shots as they would like. And it is going to end a 1-for-1 exchange. Forsaken Archer for Valkyrie. TT Esports still nicely ahead in this game, 6-3 now as we start to approach that 10-minute mark. Pardon me. The solo casting, need to take those periodic breaks to continue enjoying caffeine. I'm on the tail end of a cold as well, so hopefully I feel like the voice has warmed up a little bit now. But on those last few days of the DreamHack sickness, you know, from just being around that many people and that many germs in one place, still a little mucusy, but doing what I can. Hopefully there are no tech issues on this end. Like we sort of set up the Garena channel in kind of a matter of seconds before we got started. So I do have chat open, though I'll admit I'm not paying much attention to it. I have a lot of trouble reading and talking simultaneously. So if there is some sort of an issue, if the volume settings aren't quite right, what have you, feel free to make a note of it in chat. I'll do my best to tend to it. You can always just PM Mishkis, and she can PM me if there is any kind of an issue. Anyhow, back to this game. We do see kind of a lull in the action here over the past minute and a half or so as everyone's kind of getting back to their lanes. Looks like some stuff could be brewing here in the mid lane as both teams are kind of grouped up. We could actually take a look at items here. Still not too much on the board, mostly just boots all around. Still a lot of red boots. Slick's actually the first one to break through the grass with those red boots. As well as Torturer sitting on Steam Boots as well. It's still no core items really to be picked up quite yet to note. You see WTF on that Wretched Hag in a little bit of trouble. He's going to fall. Almost blinked away in time, but did end up going down. Unfortunately, WTF trying to line up that ultimate for the engage, but just not quite able to do it. Alrighty, so kind of unfortunate for WTF. It looked like TT Esports was gearing up for that kind of perfect engage to have Wretched Hag come out the side and make something happen, but WTF just got a little too far forward. It's sort of the double-edged sword of a situation like that, where you know, if it works, you look like a hero, but if it fails, you look like a fool. Is kind of a good way to put it, I guess. I love the aggression coming out from TT Esports, though, trying to keep this game as active as possible. We see the GPM chart is definitely taking a turn for the better, at least in terms of I think the way this game is going to play out, especially you know, looking at the Legion side being a little bit more even across the board. We are going to see up at the top lane with Talaba in a little bit of trouble. He's going to get caught by Armadon. The Fissure Stun going to come in, but he is going to be able to deny himself. Beautifully done. What looked like a beautiful Fissure block actually kept Armadon at bay and opened up a window for Watalaba to deny himself via that Vulture Lord. So beautifully done there. Going to deny a kill for the Hellborn team. Unfortunately, still going to have to pay Death's Toll, but isn't going to give that bonus pick-me-up there to anybody on the Hellborn side. So very nicely done. Slicks, though, has now moved into the jungle, so, you know, playing it safe a little bit, moving out of that laning phase now, about 12 minutes in, and just clearing up the jungle. Is well on his way to a Whispering Helm, does have the Helm of the Victim sitting in the inventory, and, of course, that, what the hell's it called? The Lifesteal piece is going to be coming. How am I blanking on this? Morph Attack, what are you called? I feel like such a jerk. The Hungry Spirit, that's what it's called. Well on his way, so no surprise there. Pretty common pickup on Forsaken Archer these days, and especially against a Valkyrie Armadon. Makes sense for a little bit of that bonus armor early on, as well as the lifesteal. This is definitely a game where in these team fights, Slicks will be standing his ground, pounding in those auto attacks, and not surprised whatsoever to see him go for that early lifesteal that we've seen work so well so many times in the past. WTF on this Wretched Hag, though, definitely struggling a little bit, sitting 0-1-0, 13 minutes in. Hasn't really been too active as far as being able to set up kills, and actually still struggling on the farm quite a bit. 41-11 as far as creep score is concerned. Unfortunately, still sitting on red boots and kind of those core laning items. So hopefully we'll see Wretched Hag kind of make a recovery in the near future here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this Wretched Hag. It's one of those things, in a suicide lane down to the bottom, almost a 1v3 at some points. Very difficult to make up that farm, but with Wretched Hag, as they tend to do as the game goes on, slowly build their way back up. In another 15 minutes or so, I think we'll see Hag well above that 300 GPM mark, as long as nothing, nothing too out of the ordinary happens as far as him getting picked on because of ganks. So pardon me for 1 second here. Sorry about that. I did have to hit the old cough button for a second. Anyhow, we are back in action. So still things going very slowly. A tier 1 tower in the top lane is going to get taken out by the Tempest Armadon duo, and it looks like they are going to continue putting pressure on, forcing TT Esports to make that executive decision. Do we continue with what we're doing down here in the bottom lane, or do we port back and defend this top tier 2 tower? You see in the mid lane as well, a tower going to get taken out, though WTF is going to be able to score the deny, all the while the rest of TT Esports in the bottom lane going to pressure this tier 1. So some tower exchanging going about all over the map, but what about this top tier 2? Are they going to sacrifice it, or are they going to be able to port back in time? Valkyrie going to connect with an arrow onto a Luna, and now Valkyrie's going to get engaged on. There's the leap, and she's going to be able to survive just fine. I don't know if they're going to be able to port back in time to save this tower. Indeed, they will. 4 ports coming in. Armadon is headed for the hills. Hag going to blink up, and it looks like Ken is going to be in big trouble. There's the piercing arrows, and he is certainly going to fall. His back's turned to a lot of it, but it doesn't matter. Slick's going to be the one to pick up that kill. Tempest already got the hell out of there and made it back to friendly territory. The tower just slightly out of deny range, so beautifully executed by TT Esports. If they waited maybe half a second longer and they could deny this tower, that would make it just a little bit sweeter, but still very nicely done. Oh, pardon me, it is in deny range. Looks like the math was a little bit off on that one, at least for me, and they did deny the tower. So beautifully done by TT Esports. We'll backtrack a little bit. More tower pushing going on, though, down here in the bottom lane. This tier 1 tower is going to fall, so after it's all said and done, it was really a 3-for-1 tower exchange. Impunity coming out way ahead. Of course, that mid tower, the one getting denied. Do you see some engagement onto Electrician here? The Valkyrie arrow not going to connect, unfortunately. It looks like Electrician is going to survive. Torturer did pick up a portal key, and that is an interesting item pickup here. Feeling a portal key first. Not too often that we see that. Of course, opens up doors for a lot of initiation power and a lot of aggression, but generally we see Torturers going a little bit tankier first, maybe opening Nullstone and then moving into portal keys. So it's definitely a bit of a risky play from Lady Melissa on Torturer, but high risk generally is correlated with high return should that risk pay off successfully. We do see Tempest has a portal key as well, so additionally adding to that initiation power. We talked about Impunity's lineup in the picking phase, about how they have some really clear AoE synergy, and now that they have 2 portal keys, that makes their team that much more deadly. We may see some initiation onto Slicks here. Oh no, Torturer not going to connect with the chain reaction. Very unfortunate there. WTF does come in though and picks off Tempest. I thought they may try and capitalize on that Torturer, but instead they go for the squishy Tempest. Tempest kind of in the same boat, sitting on Red Boots, Portal Key, and Ring of Sorcery, has very little survivability. One of the reasons why Astrolabe before Portal Key has become a somewhat more popular build on Tempest, at least on that international clan. You see this tier 1 tower in the mid lane going to fall very shortly, but not before Torturer gets taken out. Lady Melissa going to pay the ultimate price as she goes down to the hands of WTF. Well, Lady Melissa's probably a he, but anyhow, Lady Melissa going to get taken out to the hands of WTF. So, TT Esports well on their way. Actually going to level this game out again, looking at that Team Golden experience disparity. They are ahead for the first time in at least the past 5 minutes or so, so they're definitely feeling good after taking out that tower kill. We talked about Hag making a recovery, and it looks like that's what WTF has done, now sitting about 250 GPM. He's well on his way to making a strong recovery, probably pulling that gold for an Arcana, so going to be going straight for a Hellflower, it would seem, which certainly seems like a great choice to me, though. He does have his Steam Boots as well, and well, is still in pretty damn good shape. Other item pickups, we see Armadon is sort of officially tanked out here. Does have his core tank set, which is the Helm of the Black Legion, Plated Greaves, and the Mystic Vestments, and we'll see where he transitions from here. Everyone on this Hellborn side, kind of with him an acceptable level of farm. Torture leading the way around 315 GPM. Everyone else really in a pretty good spot, less that of Behemoth, kind of as we would expect. He's got his Well, he's working on his core items. Does have his Amulet of Exile and Striders. Probably going to be working towards a Ring of Sorcery of his own. With Talbot down here in the bottom lane, going to be in trouble against Lady Melissa. That initiation power from Torture just a little bit too much for Aluna to handle, especially now that he's sitting level 12. I believe he's the highest level in the game, well tied with Slicks, and well, looking to be in damn good shape. And I was a little skeptical of that portal key first. It seems to be working very nicely so far. It's set up about 2 kills, sitting 3, 2, and 1, and we'll see where he goes from here. I'm gonna guess he's gonna move into a more tanky route. I mean, seeing Nullstone is never a bad choice on a hero like Torturer. So, a lot of options, of course, but anything sort of tank, survivability related, I think will make a lot of sense here. Electrician in the top lane could be in a little bit of trouble. He does not have a tier 2 tower to retreat to, but unfortunately for the impunity side of things, there's going to be plenty of support coming in, and Electrician is going to be able to survive. Huge item pickup onto Behemoth, Hammerstorm here, as we do see him picking up that portal key in the bottom lane. Slick's going to go toe-to-toe with Lady Melissa. He will connect with that volley to secure the kill. The power throw is on the way as well for some of that additional DPS. More action up here in the top lane as Armadon continues to chip away at Electrician, but still unable to secure anything in the way of a kill. Slick's getting dangerously close now to picking up his Shrunken Head. Does have those first 2 core pieces, the Warhammer and the Mighty Blade. So just sitting about 500 or 400 off that recipe or so, and then he is going to become a very scary adversary. Now, don't forget, there is a lot of superior magic on this Hellborn side, so that does make me a little bit curious about why Slicks is going straight for that Shrunken Head. Generally, we see Shrunken Head against the lineup that has a lot of just normal disable, normal stuns and whatnot, but the Behemoth ultimate as well as the Tempest ultimate will all go through that Shrunken Head, so those Slicks will be able to absorb a lot of damage from Torturer, some of that magic damage from Valkyrie, and mitigate some stuns. There is still going to be plenty to lock him down even when he has that Shrunken Head activated. A very important caveat to note in this game. In some matches that Shrunken Head is kind of your saving grace where the opposing team can't do anything to you, and in other games it's not quite useless, but there's still a lot of stuff that'll go through it via that superior magic. So very important to note indeed. But now that Hammerstorm has that portal key, we may see this game take a turn from that slightly more active here. I'm sure TT Esports is looking to pick up some kills now that they have that some stronger initiation power. May possibly be waiting for Wretched Hag to finish up that Hellflower before they get too crazy, which may not be a bad idea either. Slicks has just now finished up that, never mind. Wow, look at how fast Valkyrie got annihilated. That is the power of Hammerstorm Portal Key right there, especially when mixed with Wretched Hag, a hero with that much mobility. Valkyrie just got completely annihilated. I think Era may be wise to pick up some Mystic Vestments here pretty quickly so that doesn't happen again because, wow, completely obliterated, no time to react, no time to even leap, get the ultimate off, just completely insta-give right there. So it'll also be interesting to see where Hammerstorm transitions from here, playing that support role. I'll be very, very curious indeed. Of course, he is going to go straight for those Steam Boots next, and then probably just going to go for that Shrunken Head. The great thing about Hammerstorm is he's sort of like a Luna in the fact that he's so versatile. He starts out in that support role, but with an appropriate amount of farm, he can take over as kind of a carry hero. If you give him free farm early on, he certainly can play that carry role very effectively. Aluna kind of in the same boat. So to see Hammerstorm picking up some kills here is certainly great. Beautiful disjoint from Torture there on that Hammerstorm stun. We are going to have some initiation though. Leon Black way in the back on that Electrician. Dust going to be used to mitigate some of that Valkyrie ultimate. Ttes coming in looking for an ultimate, not going to find one. He's going to get gripped by this Electrician though. Leon Black is in the middle of no man's land. After all of that, it is going to be a 2-for-0 exchange in favor of Impunity. Leon Black and Watalaba going to pay the ultimate price. Portal Key from Torturer to try and catch one of the stragglers that's in full retreat mode. Unfortunately for Torturer, I don't think that's going to be the case. Hammerstorm going to pour it out just in the nick of time. They're going to catch a glimpse of him, but he's going to get the hell out of there and be able to survive. So very poorly done from TT Esports. Seemed to be a little miscommunication there where Leon Black charged straight in past the tower, and the rest of TTES was kind of like, yeah, I don't really want to be engaging here. And then they had this odd dichotomy in their fight where they were stuck between that decision making of, alright, do we go in and try and keep Leon Black alive and assist him in these kills, or do we just cut our losses and go in full retreat mode? And sort of after trying a little bit of both, it culminated in full retreat mode after Aluna got taken down. So kind of an unfortunate fight there. Of course, Hag did not have her blast up when that fight was going on, so that's definitely kind of a painful aspect of that. You definitely need the Wretched Hag ult in a situation like that to make it happen. Against the team fight presence that Impunity has, they're going to need, or TT Esports is going to need everything they've got to try, even have a chance at coming out ahead in these team fights. So, just more food for thought here. Other item pickups, Wretched Hag getting dangerously close to finishing that Hellflower now, sitting about 600 gold away or so. Tempest starting to work towards that Shrunken Head, always a scary item pickup. You know, we talked about that superior magic difference a few moments ago, and on the Hellborn side of things, there is nothing that is going to go through that Shrunken Head. There's absolutely no superior magic on this Allegiance side, unless I'm totally spacing on something that I shouldn't be, but at the very least, maybe some damage will go through, but there are no stuns, there's no Tundra, no Behemoth, nothing like that that's going to be able to interrupt this Tempest ultimate, no Vindicator, plenty of others that fall under that category. So that's actually going to be a really big item pickup on Tempest. I wouldn't be surprised to see him just go straight for the Shrunken Head on red boots. At this point, though, it may seem to be a wise investment just to turn those bad boys into Striders, at least get a little bit more additional movement speed, in my humble opinion. Though, to each his own, may just be saving up for that later stage. Hammerstorm, in a similar situation, there comes a point where just pick up the Striders. You're running around the map. The Striders are such a cheap investment. He is pretty close to the Steam Boots, though, at this point. But again, it's one of those kind of to each his own. I know some players really like Striders and others not so much. I do like the choice from Witalba there to carry the dust, mitigating some of the effectiveness that Valkyrie ultimate in the last team fight. Does have one dust left here for these upcoming engagements as well, so happy to see that that's the case. Forsaken Archer now picking up a Blessed Orb. One can only imagine that will be a Geometer's Bane in the near future, so Slick's definitely starting a little bit more of a defensive route, but going to be transitioning into much more of a carry style hero. You know, Slicks has been playing been picking up Frostburn actually quite a bit frequently, and it's sort of hit or miss depending on the game. If he picks up that early farm and he can get away with picking up the Frostburn and taking that early edge, he most definitely will. But in a situation like this where he's forced to pick up those defensive items a little more quickly, transitioning straight into that Geometer's Bane and then maybe the Frostwolf Skull if need be is certainly a viable option. I know some of you are thinking he has Lifesteal, he's never going to get Frostwolf Skull. Not entirely true. You know, if this game goes on long enough, he will most definitely turn that Whispering Helm into a Symbol of Rage, and that will open up the window for him to pick up that Frostwolf Skull. Of course, the use on Symbol of Rage does stack with those other orb effects, so really is really not a bad gig that he's got going on for himself. Of course, that is quite a ways off, another 25 minutes or so worth of farming, and I'm not sure that that will need to be the case, though. TT Esports actually behind by a fairly significant margin right now, especially given that they're up 11 to or 10. Wow, I'm really struggling with numbers this morning. You have to pardon me. Like I said, it is a very early my time, about 12 hours ahead of you guys. So still getting the sleepies out of my brain. Anyhow, 11 to 7 as far as hero kills are concerned. So that shows the map presence of Impunity right now. They've just been doing a slightly better job farming their side of their map, maintaining map control, and also pushing these towers. We see TT Esports still yet to kill the tier 1 here up in the top lane. They've already lost their tier 2 here in the top lane. So, of course, a big portion of that gold disparity coming from those towers. But, you know, with the XP difference, that just demonstrates how well they're playing so far in this game and how well they're farming the map. Kind of in lieu of action. Does look like a team fight may be brewing up here in the top. Both teams completely focused around this tier 1 tower here for the Hellborn side. Actually, all 5 of the Hellborn members up here spread amongst the trees, and it looks like TT Esports is wise to the situation. They see nobody else on the map, and they are not eager to overcommit. In a situation like this, they don't have much vision. They know they don't have much vision, and it's so easy for them to get jumped. So, smart plays, I suppose one could say, from TT Esports here. The question in my mind is, how long are they going to hang around? They're either going to hang around long enough to force Impunity out, let them get a little bit anxious, and find this engage outside of tower range, or they're just going to cut their losses and, you know, head about the map to continue farming. Volley is going to connect with Armadon, though he does have his back turned. Armadon, speak of the devil, though, look at him sitting 350 GPM. Does have those core tank items now. He's upgraded the Shaman's Headdress, sitting with an Axe of the Malphite, so he is a damn tanky presence, sitting just below that 2,000 hit point mark, which is pretty damn significant, way ahead of pretty much anyone else in the game. Forsaken Archer, the only one remotely close, sitting on only 1,700, and that's pretty remarkable given how farmed Slicks is relative to everyone else. Here's the engage. It looks like they are going to go on to Armadon. This could be a very risky choice for TT Esports. They're not going to have enough burst to take him down straight up. Tempest's going to throw an ultimate. Ulti going to connect with Electrician, though. A whip of an ulti. We are going to see the ultimate from Behemoth come out. Slick's going to be the first one to pick up the kill. Armadon, is he going to go down? He finally falls. Slick's going to pick up that double tap. Torture going to fall shortly after, and it looks like TT Esports going to come out way ahead. A 4-for-0 exchange, and this could be a clean sweep. Tempest going to get engaged on straight through the tower. He's going to fall, and there it is, a 1-for-5. The Genocide comes out. TT Esports Slicks picking up the hat trick. It was all about the Tempest ultimate. Slicks did such a nice job engaging that onto the Armadon. A very risky choice. They weren't even able to finish him off with all their bursts, but Tempest came in and barely connected with Electrician. He needed to catch at least 3 heroes right there, and unfortunately that missed Tempest ultimate cost them the fight. Very, very unfortunate for Impunity, but a great momentum swing now for TT Esports, ahead by a very nice margin. So, wow. Slicks is now getting closer to that unstoppable force that we were talking about. And that makes me a little bit scared. Like I said before, it's very rare that Slicks picks up this kind of early farm and doesn't capitalize on it. It's very rare to see Slicks throw a game once he's picked up this level of farm. Once he's past that 500 GPM mark, there's no turning back. It's just more so anecdotal evidence than any sort of fanboyism, I think. Which makes me very, very nervous. There still is a great chance for Impunity here. They're not behind by that much. One good team fight is going to change the momentum in their favor. You just have to kind of compare the carries at this point. We're just about to hit that 30-minute mark, and we're getting to the point where we're well into the mid-game. We're starting to transition into the tail end of the mid-game, early portion of the late game, and this is when the carries are really going to start to shine. Those damage or those magic damage heroes really aren't quite as powerful. Behemoth does have his portal key now. His ultimate can still be very strong, but he's only level 10, still sitting on that level 1 Shockwave against a level 18 Forsaken Archer, level 15 Hag. That level 1 ultimate just isn't doing enough damage, and I think we saw that executed in that team fight up there. Behemoth got an ultimate off. It did connect with a couple of heroes, but still didn't do that huge amount of damage that it can if Behemoth has some of those additional levels. If he was level 16 right now, I think that team fight may have gone a very different way as well. So, you know, this is that time, though, when you have to start looking at carry potential when you're comparing these two teams. Seeing Forsaken Archer around 525 GPM and Valkyrie at less than half of that, not even at 250 GPM, that makes me really nervous. I mean, Valkyrie is not going to be able to carry this game at this point. She's almost finished her Nullstone now, 30 minutes in, and just now getting enough gold. That's really, really scary. That is not a good sign for the carry potential of this Hellborn side. A nice Behemoth ulti going to come in here, but unfortunately he's going to get dropped like a sack of bricks into the river pretty much right away. Armadon still on the aggressive here. He survived so much burst. He's going to get caught by a volley. Looks like he may get turned around on, though. He's going to fall, but not before Greiser gets taken out, as does Leon Black on that Electrician. Looks like Valkyrie going to fall before this fight's done. Torturer may go down as well. Wretched Hag coming in with a Bat Blast. WTF now on an onslaught. Another very cost-effective exchange for TT Esports. A 2-for-4 exchange. Wretched Hag was a little bit late to the party, but he showed up with the chips, brought that double damage rune, and he made it rain all over Valkyrie's face. Beautifully done by TT Esports. Again, Leon Black maybe overcommitting just a little bit. Hammerstorm in a similar scenario, but still very well done. Looks like this tier 2 tower down here in the bottom lane going to take a lot of damage. Still plenty of time left on this, 5 seconds left on this double damage rune. Going to allow WTF to take this tower down. He's close to deny range. I'm not sure he's going to be able to finish it off. He's just going to get the hell out of there. Doesn't want to get caught by that Tempest ultimate or that Behemoth Fidger. Very smart play from WTF, picking up on the fact that a Tempest ulti was not used in that last fight, and him getting taken out there certainly is a viable possibility. Tier 2 tower down here did get denied. Tempest as well as Behemoth. The noble defenders able to deny the tower. Oh my gosh. So TT Esports now really pulling ahead. 32 minutes in, and it's almost like seeing completely different games. Slicks now sitting 11-2-6 compared to the 1-4-3 Valkyrie on the opposing team. Plenty of statistics we could look at to demonstrate what kind of a position our Legion team is in. Look at the hero damage breakdown for Forsaken Archer, sitting at 23% of the total hero damage done across all 10 heroes. Pretty remarkable if you think about it. One of the 10 heroes is doing a fourth of all the damage that comes out as far as hero damage to one another. So that is pretty damn incredible. Pardon me. Like I said, still recovering from mild sickness from the DreamHack event. So you have to bear with me here, as the occasional cough and sneeze are a necessity. Tempest, though, has just finished up that Shrunken Head. I was talking about why that's such a powerful item pickup here, given the lack of superior magic from this Legion side. So Tempest has now become a much more deadly adversary, but it's all useless if you can't connect with those ultimates. We saw that one Tempest ultimate, and that was sort of the beginning of the momentum shift that we're seeing here, and it makes me really nervous for this Hellborn team. A lot riding on this Tempest right now. That's kind of their golden ticket, their snake in the grass, their pocket ace, if you will. They need this Tempest to really connect with a big ultimate. If that's the case, if we can see 3-4 heroes get caught in an Elemental Void, you know, a nice 1-for-5 exchange, maybe even a clean sweep for Impunity, this could be a very, very even game. They're still at that point where, yeah, they're falling behind, but one really good team fight could absolutely turn this game around. And that certainly is a possibility. Again, though, unfortunately, that does put a lot of pressure on their Brown Tempest. Armadon is getting fairly close to Behemoth Heart, sitting about 1,500 off or so, so he's getting close to that Beast Heart. Torturer continuing to be a big meat stick of her own. He's actually gone for the Gnome's Wisdom, which is kind of an interesting item pickup. We don't see Gnome's Wisdom too frequently on the international client. And personally, I'm not really a big fan of the item. I think it's a little bit overrated, only really good on certain heroes. Torturer is one such hero, and given that they do have an Armadon and quite a few other spellcasters, as far as Valkyrie and Behemoth constantly using abilities, it does make a little bit of sense. Armadon, the big one, though, that I think it makes sense for. The thing with Gnome's Wisdom is the aura is almost a secondary effect. You really need a hero that benefits from all of the passive bonuses, and Torturer is certainly one such hero. So I don't mind the pickup here. Actually, I think it is a pretty good pickup from Lady Melissa. Be curious to see what he does with his remaining gold here, though, getting very close to that Shrunken Head. If that is going to be his chosen route, he does have the Mighty Blade sitting in the inventory already. So if he is going to pick up the Shrunken Head, I would imagine he'll do it fairly quickly here, maybe once he has enough gold pulled up that he can save for a buyback after he finishes up that Shrunken Head. Other item pickups, the Legion side continuing to look quite deadly. Slicks now has a Savage Mace, so he's starting to hit like a truck. We see Electrician now has his Soul's Bulwark, so adding to that survivability, and also the minus armor, of course, going to help with his tower pushing, although he does have it set to positive right now, not even going to need it to run in there and pick up the last hit on that tower. So another tower going to fall. Looks like one tier 2 tower remaining for the Hellborn side, 2 still remaining for the Legion team, but the tower differential is totally closed. TT Esports is certainly caught up on that front. The last big item pickup that's notable, at least at this point in time, WTF on that Wretched Hag now with a Shrunken Head pickup, which, you know, I think we've talked Shrunken Head to death in this game. We've seen quite a few of them now. Torturer did indeed finish hers, so now 4 Shrunken Heads across the board. One on Forsaken Archer and Hag as well. As Tempest and Torturer. I don't know why I reiterated those yet again, but 4 Shrunken Heads now, and they're in great shape. Valkyrie has now finished that Nullstone. It's picked up the Quick Blade as well. Looks like she's probably going to be moving towards the Geometer's Bane, but you can't just looking at that difference. I mean, Slicks is like, I see your Geometer's Bane and raise you a Savage Mace. I mean, they're in different worlds right now as far as carry farm is concerned. We are at that point, though, where both teams are looking pretty farmed. Only a couple of outer towers remaining, and both sides are going to be looking for those opportunities to really capitalize and put some pressure on the base. Unfortunately, right now, even though TT Esports is ahead by a pretty nice margin, they're going to find themselves in that position where they can't just engage into the base straight up. They can push these outer towers, they can take a team fight outside of tower range, but they just can't engage downhill. So we are going to see a bit of a tower exchange, and TT Esports coming out way ahead. The question is, are they going to go for it, or are they going to port back and try and save this tower? Looks like they're just going to go straight in for the base here and try and chip away at this tier 3 tower. They're going to back up at the first sign of defense. They see all the heroes porting out, and that's going to be their ticket to get the hell out of there. So they do force the ports back. Unfortunately, they do still lose the tower. They don't get there in time for the deny. Tempest actually going to be the one to pick up that last hit. Down here in the bottom lane, though, WTF does manage to score that tower deny. So there you have it. All of the outer remaining towers are down. Nothing but base left. And like I said, both teams now are going to be looking for those opportunities. The only way to break into the base in a scenario like this is A, farm for the next 15 minutes so that you're just so powerful you can just break on through and destroy a tower in a matter of seconds. B, look for an opportunity to pick somebody off and then push the base in a 5v4 scenario. And I think that's what both teams are kind of going to be looking for here. That opportunity to pick somebody off, catch someone out of position, and then push into the base. So positioning is going to become very, very important in this game, much more so than it was in the previous 25 minutes or so. We do see Kongor still yet to be attempted, and around this time is when teams are going to start to put more focus on him again, looking for that opportunity to try and make it happen. And that's definitely a very real possibility. WTF does have an invisibility rune activated again. I think I've said looking for the opportunities about 5 times in the last minute or so, but that is exactly what he's doing. Hiding around in the invisibility, looking for anyone farming the jungle. Unfortunately, not going to fish his wish and bump into anybody too familiar. He's going to roam down here to the bottom lane and actually may be able to catch somebody farming the Ancients, who is a good old Armadon. Fortunately, I don't know that Wretched Hag is going to have the burst damage to finish him off, but actually, if you look at the mini-map here, the Legion side is getting pretty close to being able to converge on this Armadon, but damn is he speedy, running about 423 movement speed with a couple of stacks of Relentless. We see, oh my gosh, the Hellborn Courier actually gets taken out by WTF, and I'm so sad to admit that I don't know if there was anything on it. I'm really not sure. That's one of those, I wish I was watching the Courier moments, but well played by WTF to take out the Courier. Of course, kind of really a 600 gold sunk cost there. You had to pay the 200 to upgrade it, and then it's going to be another 400 to buy a new one. You see Torturer in kind of an awkward position here. He's going to be able to portal key off to the side, but unfortunately does not have a homecoming stone. He is going to get engaged on. Absolutely nowhere to go. Lady Melissa is going to fall. WTF going to be the one to pick up that last hit, now on a savage 6 streak. So he is in a pretty damn good shape. Again, we talked about Wretched Hag recoveries, and now he's at that 375 GPM mark. The inventory is looking good, and WTF is there, man. He has officially recovered, sitting 7, 1, and 3. And speak of the devil, Mr. Slicks here going to pick up that Symbol of Rage as we talked about. So he is going to have that opportunity to pick up a new orb effect. Some of you may be asking yourselves, why stack the two? You can't use the passive lifesteal on Symbol of Rage alongside another orb effect like a Frostwolf Skull. However, the use effect on that Symbol of Rage, the 150% lifesteal for 2 seconds or a second and a half, what have you, that does stack with something like a Shield Breaker or a Frostwolf Skull. And that's really what's important about the item, not really that passive lifesteal, but more that huge burst of 150 lifesteal to get you back up to full HP. So Slicks does have that opportunity, and if he's picked up the Symbol of Rage already, he's obviously looking to go a little bit more of a defensive, tanky route, sitting on just about 2.4k HP, and Frostwolf Skull synergizes with that very, very nicely. Frostwolf Skull is one of the most expensive items in the game, and what's great about it is it gives you that great slow passive that turns you into a very, very deadly hero, but also it gives you a huge amount of survivability, so many stats, so much HP. It just turns you into a massive force, which Slicks already is. So I think that would really be a good item pickup here for that kind of last inventory slot that he's got chilling before they really make it happen. Electrician has now picked up the Barrier Idol, another very key item, especially for a situation like this that TT Esports finds themselves in. Pushing up the base does become a lot easier once you pick up that Barrier Idol to absorb that first wave of magic damage, but also because you can apply the Barrier Idol to your creeps. Another important thing to note for pushing power, it does apply that a shield to creeps so that they can't get taken out instantly by magic damage. It seems like kind of a minuscule thing, but it's actually really important. We'll see as TT Esports gets a little bit more aggressive onto the base. That Barrier Idol is going to be absolutely key, especially if it can absorb some damage from Behemoth's stun, from the Behemoth Ultimate, as well as all that other magic damage that comes out. TT Esports, though, is all grouped up. Looks like they're ready to make it happen if the opportunity presents itself. Just waiting for someone to make that fatal misstep, pop a little too far out of the base, and unfortunately not going to find that opportunity, and they are going to head down to Kongor. This is something that TT Esports actually does fairly frequently. Well, they'll push up, feint some pressure in the mid lane, and then go down and maybe feint some pressure onto Kongor. We see nothing in the way of wards right now for either side, actually. Luna does have a couple of counter wards. I have to wonder if a few went down. Oh, pardon me. There's one right, smacking me right in the face in the middle of the screen. Impunity does have a ward right here in front of the pit. So that's all exactly what was going on. So a noble effort from TT Esports, sort of testing the map, making sure Impunity has their bases covered. They have wards up in appropriate locations, trying to pressure the base, and then moving down and attempting, or feinting an attempt on Kongor, I should say. Obviously not overcommitting, but they certainly will take him out if the opportunity presents itself. Looks like they may do the same thing here, just going to keep chipping away old Kongor. Eventually he's going to get down to that dangerously low point where everyone's going to try and Zerg Kongor simultaneously. Impunity, and once again, they do have this ward. They know exactly what's up. I don't believe they have sight into the pit, but they do have sight of heroes like Hammerstorm here, and they should be pretty well aware of what's going on. A 5-second arrow will connect with Slicks. Unfortunately, the rest of the Hellborn team isn't going to be super nearby. Uh-oh, there's Torturer, though. We're going to see Archer in big, big trouble. He's going to be able to get that shrunken head off the lifesteal, and they might be able to turn this around onto Torturer. Tempest going to throw an ultimate. It's not going to connect with anyone. Oh, no. Tempest going to whiff yet another ultimate with Talda going to pick up that kill onto Lady Melissa, and it looks like this fight going way in favor of TT Esports. A beautiful piercing arrows coming down from Slicks, making it rain all over this Hellborn team stuck outside of the Kongor pit. Armadon, one of the few survivors left for the Hellborn side, is going to get caught in the grip, and it looks like he is going to fall. He is a beefy presence, but just not beefy enough, and he is most definitely going to go down. Looks like a buyback was used for Frey. No! Oh my gosh, an 0 for 3 exchange. Gongor dangerously low. Looks like they're just going to finish him out real quick. Slick's going to be willing to pick up that token. I'm quite sure that I think this mid lane is going to be under some really serious pressure. I can't believe Tempest missed another ultimate. Looks like he did catch FA a little bit, but still didn't secure the kill. That's not the kind of Tempest ultimate I was talking about. He needed to catch at least 3 people. I mean, the whole point of the Tempest ultimate is to have the follow-up damage to secure a couple of kills. Pulling down that Tempest ultimate, just disabling them for a few seconds, then losing the fight, still doesn't achieve what Tempest really is looking to achieve in fights like that. Very, very unfortunate. So we are going to see this mid lane tower fall. Looks like the melee and ranged barracks going to take some pretty serious heat. I think the melee barracks will fall at the very least, and not much Impunity can do to defend this right now. Torturer just popping up. Armadon coming up in about 15 seconds or so, but alas, the barracks fall. The range barracks take those last few shots and do bite the bullet. So now we're kind of at that point where Impunity's sort of on their last leg. With one lane of racks down, may not be time to tap out quite yet, but they're getting there. They're getting really damn close to just moving on to that game number 2, reevaluating what they did in this match, and just trying their luck with a slightly different roster. Maybe considering banning that Forsaken Archer, so Slicks can't just do whatever he wants, as this is definitely one of his favorite heroes, and for good reason. We're going to see Torturer take a very unfortunate blink. That's the problem when you don't have wards in your jungle. Oh no, is Torturer going to be able to survive this? It looks like he is. The Valkyrie Prism going to come out. That will be enough to keep Torturer alive. Armadon going to be the one to get engaged on now. He is tanky enough and is going to be able to survive. Bit of a misplay from TT Esports right there, not capitalizing on that misplay from Lady Melissa. He did get dusted. Unfortunately, they just didn't have the burst to take him down, and he actually didn't even use his shrunken head there, so very impressive survival from Torturer right there to not concede a death. Slick sitting with about 4,200 in the bank. Of course, he does have 5 minutes left on that token, so no immediate pressure, but going to have plenty for buyback. And like we were talking about, that Frost of Skull may become a reality before too long in this game. Electrician going pure tank armor tank build here now that he has that Soul's Bulwark. Looks like he is going to be transitioning into a Frostfield plate. Has now picked up the plate mail and sitting on just about 32 armor with the plated greaves. So he is in pretty good shape. Wretched Hag continuing to further that farm, now sitting with a Nullstone in addendum to that Hellflower and Shrunken Head, sitting above 200 creep kills, so definitely made one hell of a recovery. Again, just to reiterate some of the points we brought up earlier on. As far as Impunity is concerned, at this point, I think they kind of need to go all in, force a team fight somewhere, have some sort of really solid defense. They have those cooldowns up. It doesn't make much sense to me just to hang around and wait and allow this Legion team just to continue farming. It feels like almost the longer it goes on, the harder it's going to get. Valkyrie is no closer to finishing another core item. She's got her Nullstone and Geometer's Bane now. She just have a nice little core inventory set, but unfortunately still just a shadow of what this Forsaken Archer has sitting in the inventory. I think Impunity just needs to go for one last-ditch effort, go kind of all in, force a team fight. If it doesn't work, then alright, GG, let's go for a game 2. Looks like that timing may be coming up pretty quickly here, though, as the push on maybe not the final push, but yet another push for TT Esports coming in. And, of course, Impunity in a great position to try and fend this off. We'll see how the engagement goes. Tempest does have an ultimate up, so this could be his one last chance. There's that barrier idol going to be used. Actually, only going to connect with a couple of creeps, unfortunately. But so let's look how fast this tower is falling. Slick's using the illusion Legions on that Geometer's Bane, already taking it down to about 2/3 HP, and, well, they haven't even really begun to fight yet. So this engage, probably going to commence pretty quickly here. It's all about initiation. We're going to see both teams dance around for the next couple of creep waves or so, looking for that opportunity. The Hellborn side, of course, wants to fight within tower range for that added DPS, and our Legion team desperately trying to pull these heroes out so they don't have to fight within tower range. It does open up a window of opportunity for Tempest here, but just look at TT Esports positioning, doing kind of the flying V here, putting their two super tanky heroes out in front, and then their follow-up heroes in the back, so that if they get engaged on, instantly WTF and Riser on that Hammerstorm can hop in and support their team. Tower just taking massive damage though before this engage even starts. The tower going to fall. Slip's looking for those opportunities. Is going to be able to pop in and finish that bad boy off. This is a point now where we're going to have to see Impunity just engage this. They're running out of that luxury time. They need to make something happen. Looks like TT Esports is going to make it happen for him. Torturer going to get caught. He's going to fall. WTF going to be the one to pick up a kill. There's the Tempest ultimate we've been talking about. Going to catch quite a few heroes, but the follow-up's not quite there. Behemoth going to go in. I don't even think he got his ultimate off. He did, but who did it connect with? I didn't even see the hit points dip down. It is only level 2. It's looking like a steamroll in this last fight. A 3-for-0 exchange here as we see Valkyrie leap towards the well. Tempest already taking a bath. The melee racks fall. The ranged racks shortly after, and I think we are moments from a GG. There it is. Lady Melissa going to call the vote to concede, and we're going to be moving on to a game number 2. So well played by both sides, but unfortunately for Impunity, TT Esports just coming out a little bit too strong. It was an even game for most of it, but TT Esports really picked up that momentum shift on that first big Tempest whiff. So not to pick on Tempest too much, but we have to admit there were a couple of fairly failed Tempest ultimates there. Don't want to say that cost them the game, but it definitely didn't help. So anyway, that was game number 1. This is the Grand Poobah. Of course, I'm Zyori from Zyori.tv, doing a little bit of Garena casting. Very happy to be here, enjoying it so far. Like I said, it is bright and early where I am, about 12 hours ahead of all you guys over on Singapore time in Southeast Asia. So finally getting the sleepies out, and I'm also still a little bit sick, so perhaps next week or next time we cast this, I'll find a nice co-caster so you guys don't have to hear me ramble on by myself, but hopefully it's not too painful. So we'll get the next game up here in just a couple of minutes.